All right, let's talk about the B4XDaisySwap component. If you're looking to inject some real life and personality into your app's UI, then you have come to the exact right place. Let's dive right in.
So let me ask you a question. Are your UI toggles feeling a little, well, static? You know the feeling, right? You build this awesome feature, but the button to turn it on or off just kind of sits there. It works, sure, but it has no life. It's just a static switch in what should be a dynamic world.
Well, that's precisely the problem B4XDaisySwap is here to solve. This component is an absolute game changer. It's designed specifically to create these super slick, animated, and honestly just satisfying transitions between on and off states. It's time to swap out the boring for something brilliant.
Okay, so we're going to start with the absolute basics. Walk before we can run. Before we get into all the fancy icons and animations, let's just master a simple text swap. At its heart, the whole concept is incredibly simple. The component has just two main states, on and off. That's it. Your user clicks it, and it transitions from one to the other. And that simple foundation is what everything else we're going to do is built on.
So how do you actually get this set up in the B4X Visual Designer? It all comes down to these three properties. On text is what the component shows when it's in the on state. Off text is for the off state, obviously. And the state property just tells it which one to start with when your app first loads. It's really that straightforward.
All right, so our basic swap is working. Check. Now for the really fun part. Let's make this thing move. This is where we can start to bring our user interface to life.
The key to unlocking all these cool animations is just a single property, SwapStyle. This is what turns a simple, boring, instant change into a fluid, really satisfying experience for your user.
Your first option is rotate. When you set the SwapStyle to this, the component does this really smooth 2D spin as it transitions. Kind of think of it like a signpost twisting around to show the other side. It's clean, it's simple, it's effective.
But maybe you want a little more flair. Your second option is flip. Now this one adds a whole other dimension. Setting the style to flip creates this dynamic 3D effect, almost like you're flipping a card over. It gives a great sense of depth, and it's a really satisfying piece of visual feedback.
And seeing them side by side like this, it really clarifies the difference, doesn't it? Rotate gives you that flat, 2D spin. It's perfect for a minimalist, clean UI. Flip, on the other hand, gives you that tangible 3D turn, which is great for when you want an interaction to feel a bit more physical. Which one you choose really just depends on the personality of your app.
And of course, you've got control over the speed. The animation MS property lets you define exactly how long the animation takes, right down to the millisecond. The default is 200, which is pretty snappy, but you can slow it down for a more dramatic effect or speed it up for really rapid interactions.
We've mastered text, we've mastered animation. It's time to level up. What if you want to swap between images instead of just words? Let's take a look at how B4XDaisySwap handles icons using scalable vector graphics, or SVGs.
All the magic here happens with another key property, SwapType. By default, it's set to text. All you have to do is change that value to SVG, and boom, you just told the component to get ready for images instead of just characters.
And this is where the design of the component is just so clever. Once you're in SVG mode, those on-text and off-text properties we were using for words, they get a new job. They don't hold the text itself anymore. Instead, they expect the file path to your on and off SVG icons.
So let's break it down into three simple steps. First, set SwapType to SVG. Second, point the on-text property to your on-state icon. Maybe it's in your assets folder. And third, you do the exact same thing for off-text with your off-state icon. And that's all there is to it.
And it's worth peeking under the hood here for a second. This powerful icon swapping feature is actually being handled by another component, B4DCSwap's SVG icon. It works seamlessly in the background, handling all the loading, rendering, and coloring of your SVG files, so you don't even have to worry about the details.
Phew, we've covered a lot of ground, huh? From simple text to animated icons, let's just wrap this all up with a quick checklist to make sure you have all the key takeaways for your next project. Here it is, the whole game plan. First, decide on your content with SwapType. Is it text or SVG? Second, define your on and off content in the text properties, whether that's words or file paths. Third, pick an animation with SwapStyle to add that visual flair. And finally, dial in the perfect speed with Animation MS. Follow those 4 steps, and you'll be creating amazing interactive elements in no time.
And that's our look at the B4XDaisySwap component. You now have the tools to transform static toggles into engaging animated experiences. The only question left is, what interactive elements will you build next?